Good evening. What we're covering tonight is not the Carmela Anthony and Medcat tragedy. What we're covering today is what to do if you come in contact with law enforcement and asked to make a statement in public while being detained. This case right here is a tragedy on both ends. One person lost their life. Another person is at risk of losing their life in the penal system. This right here, whole thing is a tragedy. So if you have kids, nieces, nephews, any loved one, even grown adults, you should be advising them and letting them know about the Miranda warning. Everybody heard of the Miranda rights. This is part of your Fifth Amendment. It's your right to remain silent. Most people don't use this right. Most people will regret this. So at this time, we're going to really read out the Miranda rights so people can get a full understanding. I don't know if people really understand or get an opportunity to look up their Miranda rights. But the Miranda right says you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Notice that second line. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to an attorney and have him or her present you while you're being questioned. So you have a right to have an attorney with you while being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. So if you can't afford it, let's say if you're poor, broke, and can't afford it, one will be appointed to you. Then at number 5, it says you can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any question or make any statement. That is your right to remain silent. Be quiet. Do you understand each of these rights I have explained to you? Having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to us now? The answer is no. Always remain silent. That's your right. You have a right to remain silent. It would be very advised and a wise decision to remain silent at all times when you're coming in contact with law enforcement, detectives, anybody. The best thing is to get legal advice, legal representation, and remain silent until that time. Up in the corner it has choose to remain silent, the Fifth Amendment. The Miranda rights comes out of the Fifth Amendment. And out of that Fifth Amendment comes, the Fifth Amendment really is your protection of your rights. Illegal search and seizures. It causes a multitude of things that help you from self-incrimination. But the Fifth Amendment protects individuals from being forced to incriminate themselves. Incriminate oneself is defined as exposing oneself or another person to an accusation or a charge of a crime, or as involving oneself or another person in a criminal prosecution or the danger thereof. The privilege against compelled self-incrimination is defined as a constitutional right of a person to refuse to answer questions or otherwise give testimony against him or herself. And the term they use is to plead the fifth. You may hear that in a court proceeding or a trial. People say, I plead the fifth. Well, to plead the fifth is to refuse to answer any question because the implication of the questions in the settling in which it is asked leads a claimant to possess a reasonable cause to apprehend danger of a direct answer, believing that a responsive answer to the question or an explanation of why it cannot be answered might be dangerous because of injurious disclosure could result. So you could be tripped up by a question. You could not have the correct knowledge. You could be ignorant of the law. That's why you will be retaining an attorney. And see, historically, these protections are set up to not to be forced to compel people into self-incrimination, such as torture, such as, forced confession, coercion, manipulation. All of these things are to protect you. So the main thing that you should tell your loved one or anybody that you know when you come into a legal situation is to use the Miranda rights. Remain silent. You could teach these to little kids. If you come in contact with law enforcement, be quiet. Don't say nothing. That's your right. That's the main thing that you should know. If you want to do something that's catchy, that you can understand, it would be the term, as our beloved comedian Flip Wilson would say, loose lips sink ships.
Amen. Loose lips
and the looser the lips
sink ships. Some of the lips in this
the deeper the
congregation
ship sinks.
done sunk aircraft carriers. Speak the truth.
Thank you. This has been a public service announcement. Hope that you'll take heed, look into your constitutional rights and amendments, and learn what your rights are. But again, in closing, we're going to read the Miranda warning. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to hire an attorney and have him or her represent you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, one will be appointed to represent you before any question if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any question and make any statements. Do you understand each of these rights I have explained to you, and having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to us now? And particularly in the situation of Carmelo Anthony, I don't believe that he was given his Miranda warning. So I don't know that if that applies to his case. I don't know if that applies to a lot of cases that's out there. Most people, they get to talking and saying different things out of line, out of order, without any knowledge of the law. So please remain silent. This has been a public service announcement.